275 gallon setup. If you do the math, I guess, find out how big it is. Length time width time height divided by 231. The dimensions on this, when we bought it, it's a 96 times 22 times 30. It's 96 inches long, 22 inches from front to back, and I got it actually custom made to be narrow so it would fit inside of these little parts in this double wide, because I didn't want it to stick out from there. Standard, they're a little longer than 22, but I asked them to do 22 and 30 tall. This is considered a tall. Normally they're not quite this high, so I did a tall. It's a 30 tall, so it's a little higher. All the logs in it, I actually went down to the Douglas Dam down the road and pulled these logs out of it when it was really dry one year. This one might have been in a fire or something, which really gave it this nice color in the wood. And then I took a hole set, and I drilled different size holes. I drilled one right through this trunk opening here, which just turned out really well. We had a big knife fish in here for a while that loved this thing. But he's not alive anymore. They don't live that long. Again, to the logs, as I said, I did put a couple of large rocks. This log, they both had a hard time staying at the bottom of the tank at first, obviously. I drilled some holes in this and put cement inside the log to help hold it down, to help weigh it down. And that large stone there is actually fastened to this log with a large screw. So, but I mean, all just to help hold it in place, so now it stays down well. And I can weigh it, move it around as I like. This one I also did the same thing. As you can see, I put large holes through this and then just smoothing them out a little bit. I put all these pod plants in here. I just stuck aluminum screws through these things, through the center of those pod plants to hold them down. Some of them I mixed different ones up in, like this one. I stuck this one actually inside of it there. So turned out really well. Been in here for a few years, so I said they're starting to get a little algae on them and all that stuff, but overall it's lasted a long time. But my water changes, I typically do a 25% water change, but every once in a while I'll take it and I'll do at least a 50%. And what I'll try to do is get all the water in the sump to come up to the top. After I've lowered some of it out, I'll get some more of the water to come out of the sump into the top, just to try to get as much out of there as possible. And then I'll come down as low as this, you know, maybe about 12 inches from the bottom here, and I'll change out all the water. So, or a lot of the water anyways. Just get it clear, so it'll look really fresh and pretty for a few days after that at least. And then after it's done filling back up, like I said, I add about a cup of each of these, about 1 cup of each of these to it. It doesn't take a ton. I do try to make them last because they're kind of expensive. These run about $15 each. I think that's right. I have to check again. Maybe 20. But I've seen some live enzyme brands go for like 30 bucks. Supposed to treat up to 1,000 gallons or whatever, but that might get you four changes when you're looking at an aquarium this size. I mean, so, and I do like using them, so I've chopped them around a couple of different times. Kind of a sealed tank like this. When this tank came in, I didn't realize it was going to have four tops like this. I thought it was going to be a whole opening I could get into. So actually, even when I made these giant logs here, I had a bit of a time, especially getting like this one in. It had to go in one direction, kind of wiggle it in, and I sort of got it in there eventually, but as a result of it, you can see it right here. There's a scratch in my acrylic. It's an acrylic tank. There's a scratch in my acrylic there, and I've not been able to get that out. Maybe I can buff it out eventually. But I paid probably about $4,500 total for the setup, but that was shipped. It's not too bad, I suppose. I said and the canopy came in. It was broke. I had to fix this side of my canopy. Came in split because of the truckers. They turned it on its side or something. But included with this is also about 100-gallon sump that's under here. So I mean, yeah, I've got this area for a little bit of storage here, which is good. I've got the pump turned off right now. I'm actually doing a water change. This is something I do probably every 3 weeks. Sometimes a little longer than that, but usually every 3 weeks, 2 or 3 weeks, I'll do partial water change. Just running a Python here, 30-foot Python set up. The newer ones will come with this kind of adjustment right here, this nozzle to fit into these, so which is probably good because some of them don't stay on very well. So just turn it down to pull the water out, or close it and it'll push the water in, so it comes back down. So it's probably the easiest way to do partial water changes. I try to put like a lukewarm water in there, and then after I'm done with my water change, I typically use these kind of items. I've gotten a couple of different ones, but this is called Big Al's, and they come from the Big Al's website. I don't know, they sell a lot of fish supplies, but it's just BioClean, multi-purpose BioCleaner, multi-purpose bio support. It's just live. Enzymes, basically. You'll see a couple of different versions of this kind of stuff. It's like enzymes or whatever. This is supposed to be a little bit stronger to clean. You're not supposed to use it without this one. You don't necessarily have to use them, but I actually use a little bit of this and a little bit of this every time. Every time I do a water change. So every couple of weeks I'll put this in it just to help clean the aquarium. It's supposed to help keep your gravel clean, keep the sludge out, which I think it works because I've had this aquarium set up for 4 years and I've not had a whole lot of buildup in it. And I've had tanks that have a lot of buildup. But one good thing about this tank too, it doesn't get direct sunlight, which is a problem with aquariums depending where you have them set up at in your house. So I've got a window across from me, but it doesn't get too much into it. So I've had very little problems with algae in here, other than maybe right around the top and stuff, which I clean. I bought one of these right here. This is a mag float, one of the bigger mag floats, like almost $100 just for this. But these are very powerful, and I actually use this soft cloth on here, microfiber cloth on here between them to keep it protected a little better, so but how strong that is. It actually lifted it out of the water back to the top, but to help clean this aquarium. So, but these work really well, I said. I use it like that just to keep this clean. So, you might want to look at them. I've looked at a lot of different types of window cleaners. I think these work really well, but with this microfiber, it keeps it from getting rough. Because if you don't buy it with that, it's just like that. It's just kind of flat. And you can buy pads, but these cloth pads actually just cut it off of that right there. Work well, and I've had that on there for over a year. It cleans it up pretty well. Doesn't leave any marks. So all of my rock, I actually found all these rock in a field. All these large slate-like stones were in a field in a pile of dirt. So pretty much everything in here, other than the small gravel that I did buy at a store, pretty much everything else in here I found and put in this aquarium. And then of course the plants. I actually screwed the plants in. Oops. This is on a timer. This is my setup too. I don't run it all the time, so I have it hooked up on a timer so that they turn off at 3 different times during the day. My lights turn on in the morning, then off at night, and then my pump turns off for a couple hours throughout the day and night. Save on electricity a little bit. The pump they sent with me here, I can't remember the name of it, but it's run pretty well this whole time. Sometimes it doesn't want to start as well as I like, but it actually runs quite well. I also use a couple of different things like active carbon and this denitrate that I bought.